Sometimes even to live is an act of courage, is kicking your enemy into a large well after screaming. This is Sparta, the Hellenistic embodiment of courage. Well, it could be looking at Greek mythological heroes like Achilles and Hector and their bravery on the battlefield. But the definition of courage doesn't stop there as far as the Stoics are concerned. As a matter of fact, there are many different philosophical ideas about what courage really is. Now, if we want to be courageous according to Stoic ethics, does that mean that we have to become these fearless warlords, as we see in movies about the ancient Greeks? Or do we have to become the hero that saves the princess? Not necessarily. Courage is a Stoic virtue, thus means that courage is part of what the Stoics call eudaimonia, which means flourishing and is regarded as the end goal. It's important to notice that according to the Stoics, eudaimonia equals life in accordance with nature, which is regarded as an optional way for human beings to live. When we look at the Stoic definition of courage, we discover that it's subdivided into endurance, confidence, high-mindedness, and industriousness. We can apply these characteristics in all kinds of situations. We could be very courageous doctors, or very courageous YouTube content creators, as long as we do it confidently, with positive energy, and in a way that's disciplined. This is the key to success. We can cultivate Stoic courage by controlled adversity, also known as ascesis, through which we gradually expose ourselves to dispreferred indifference. In this way, we become more confident, strong, and skilled. Ethically, courage ought to be directed towards pursuits that are in favor of the common good, preferably things that are conformable to our own inborn mature and the nature of our environment. The Stoic hero is a virtuous hero. Now, Nietzsche was a German philosopher who valued courage very highly, according to him. Courage is the main ingredient to become what he called the Overman. The Overman is an individualist who has succeeded to free himself from the master-slave morality and live self-sufficiently while following his own unique path. The Buddha had a slightly different view of courage. There's this common misunderstanding that Buddhist monks are a bunch of cowards that hide in their monasteries while renouncing life. The renouncing of life is partly true in Buddhism, as it is the renunciation of certain parts of life, also known as samsara. Samsara is the wheel of suffering and involves all cravings and desires and pleasures that lead to suffering. By taking refuge in Buddhism, we seek to emerge from samsara by giving up a great deal that conventionally makes life pleasurable. For the regular person, giving up so many things means a great deal of pain and suffering. And this is the irony. One has to go through the pain of giving up short-term pleasure and devoting oneself to a life of practice and discipline to become free of pain. Embarking on the path of enlightenment is a very brave thing to do. Part of the path of enlightenment is overcoming our fears, because a truly enlightenment being has no fear. And in order to overcome fear, we have to face it. This is especially true for the fear of death. When the Buddha experienced the harsh reality of life, he chose not to be sheltered from it, but to acknowledge suffering and accept it. In Buddhism, courage means that we dare to see reality for what it is and transform our fear and suffering into a path to awakening. Philosopher Alan Watts, who was a scholar of Zen, spoke about a metaphysical courage, which is basically the awareness that all manifestations of existence are a show. So we approach life how we approach a movie. This means that on the one hand, we get tangled up in life and experience fear because everything that happens appears real to us. But on the other hand, we can see the illusion for what it is. Then life is no more frightening than playing video game. According to what? These what the samurai were after when they were studying Zen. They wanted this metaphysical courage, so nothing would scare them. This is easier said than done, and when we put this idea into practice, we discover that our bodies still react to the things we perceive as scary. We still feel fear. The key to dealing with this fear is not fearing fear and seeing these sensations as a part of the illusion. The opposite is the act of worrying, which is a vicious cycle that is absolutely useless. The cause of worrying is the illusion that we believe that by thinking we can control the future, which isn't the case. In this context, courage is the ability to simply letting the show play out as it play out. So see you next video.